Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're going to go ahead and get into everything you need to know about AMC stock in this upcoming week. Now, if you guys have not seen the last video, I highly recommend you guys check it out because you have this conflict going on in Israel that looks like it's at least at the bare minimum going to affect the price of oil on Monday. We've heard a lot of comments, you've seen a lot of comments about this on even older videos, a couple videos ago. Take a look at some of those comments. A lot of them do have to do with this conflict now that arose over this weekend that could get worse. It doesn't look like it's going to get better, but it could get worse. So I think the conclusion from the last video, pretty simple. There's a low chance that this really spreads into something that is bigger, that could give you big downside in the markets, but there is a chance that that happens. But I'm not convinced the skyrocketing of oil that we're going to see on Monday is enough to get the markets to crash in and of themselves. But I do think this could be a negative thing for the markets, at least in the beginning of the markets, as there is fear of a broader contagion of this situation, okay? The markets always think about the worst possible, outcomes at first, and then we kind of wait around to see what happens. So we'll see. I think that does throw a wrench in a little bit of what we're going to say. We're going to run through the data here. We're going to look at this week's economic calendar. I want to give you guys a price prediction of what I'm expecting. Now, AMC stock recently, as recently as Friday, was up 11.57% in regular trading, up another 0.76% in after hours trading. So we have a lot to get into in a very short amount of time. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time to the channel and the YouTube algorithm has been playing you and really doesn't want you to get the best information around AMC stock. Well, hit that subscribe button because today is your day, as well as like the video. So first things first, guys, like I said, we were really green on Friday. Some of this could maybe be explained, I guess. AMC stock did see the best pre-ticket revenue sales in its business history with the advanced ticket sales. And this is why some people say AMC stock went up 12% on Friday. Dude, when AMC turned a profit, it did not go up 12%. I don't think that is the whole reason why AMC stock went higher. I think it has to do with a couple different things, including the fact dilution's done. That shouldn't be a concern, at least right now. If AMC stock does rally to where I think it can, then maybe we get dilution, and that's the $30, $40, $50 range. Then sure, some dilution could be possible, and probably strategically a good move by AMC, but right now, that's not really a danger. Now, I believe a lot of this has to do with the technicals as well. AMC stock has been above its 8-day moving average now for the past couple of days. You finally held that as support, and then you got this bigger move higher. And as I have kind of mapped out here on the chart, you've been in an uptrending channel here, and now you finally got the breakout confirmation to the upside. So this should help fuel more of that upside move. Now, AMC stock went far quickly, so don't be surprised if you do see a little bit of a slowdown here. Now, $9.50 per share, that is the major level I want to be watching, and it looks almost certain that we're going to get there this week. Now, if you start to break above $10 per share, that's where things start to look a lot more exciting for this multi-100% rally that I do think is coming. Now, it could turn into a multi-1,000% rally. That's possible. It really depends on if shorts start covering or not. This multi-100% rally that I'm thinking of doesn't really incorporate a lot of shorts covering. It's more so retail investors jumping in, this becoming a trade again, whereas it really hasn't been for a while. And the situation in which we're in with AMC right now is very much too negative, and you're starting to get a flip here. And a lot of this I've talked about in other videos, like the put to call ratio being at 0.75. It's fallen off a cliff recently. You haven't been here in like over a year now. So you used to see big, sharp rallies in AMC. That has all but not happened. in the last year or so. A lot of this has to do with the court proceeding and some of the FUD that was out there, some of the synthetic shorts, all of that did not help. But you have not seen a big rally like that in a long time. Now you're getting to the same level on the put to call ratio that you were previously when you did get big rallies, right? Back here in March of 2022, back here in August of 2022, as well as after the rally in June. You've seen a couple sizable rallies during August, September, and November of 2021 as well. So you're in a much more favorable environment for that upside move. Now, what you've seen on Friday is encouraging as well as far as the option activity, because you did close above $8.50. You did close above $9 per share. And per the T+1 settlement time, I did have to go ahead and double check that it's T+1. So a lot of this hedging could actually take place on Monday as well for the options that did expire in the money. Again, the $9 put and below. At the $8.50 put, you've seen almost 16,000 for open interest that did expire in the money, and about 14,269 at the $9 put. So all in all, that's about 3 million shares. I would imagine a lot of that did get hedged for on Friday, hence that very large move you've seen in the second half of the day. But I would imagine maybe 1 million or so, maybe 500,000 or so shares still need to be bought coming on Monday. So that should help give you some bit of upside. Now, again, I think the wild card this week is this Israel conflict. Does this turn into fear of a wider conflict? U.S. getting involved potentially? Who knows? I don't know how the markets are going to feel on this, but that is certainly a possibility. Now, on Friday, we had a jobs report come out of 330,000 jobs, much better than expectations. And the markets lately have been getting really good economic data, or better than expected economic data, that has caused markets on the 10, 20, and 30 year to sell those bonds, drive the yields higher, as a lot of people are saying, hey, we're going to be higher forever. So the Fed has really lost control of the long end of the curve. Now, this jobs report on Friday had the same effect that it has had recently on bonds. The 30-year Treasury was up 7.5 basis points. The 20-year Treasury was up almost 9 basis points. The 10-year Treasury was up almost 8 basis points. These are massive moves. You're breaking out to new highs on Friday, but what did stocks do? Stocks ripped higher as well. You could say this is an oversold bounce. Let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. You were as oversold as, September, October of 2022. And that's basically what happened as well. You had a wild oversold bounce. You were down, I believe this day back here, October 13th, if I'm remembering this correctly. You were down like 2%, ended up closing up over 2.5% positive, a wild oversold bounce. Usually those turn out good. Usually you tend to see the follow through rally with those, but this time I don't know if it's different. The same trends that have been going on are still happening. Okay, bond yields still going higher, the Fed still being hawkish, still maintaining this higher for longer narrative. I don't know if this is the end of this sell-off that we have seen recently, but it has been quite the pullback. That's why I think this Israel conflict could be quite the wild card and could really shake up at least a lot of my expectations for this week. Now, let's go ahead and run through some of this Ortex data. We will go over the data for this week and then get into the charts a little bit more and what I actually expect as far as a price prediction, a price action basis. So you have a short score of 66, $198.97 million worth of short positions currently in AMC stock. Estimated short interest of free float at 12.12%. Free float out on loan at 16.21%. Shares out on loan 32.07 million. Days to cover 2.1, cost to borrow 2.36%, and utilization of 56.07. So nothing is really moving around all too much. We've talked about this before, but these shares out on loan now at 32 million is a lot more than we've seen recently. Recently, we were at about 25, 26 million. So that has went up quite a bit, but it's not too much as of right now. So we just have to kind of wait and see what is ultimately going to come from this. So there you have that. Now, the official short interest report, you're looking at shares out on loan or shares that are sold short of 22.15 million, short percentage of free float at 11.2%. The settlement date, that was as of September 15th. So here is that data. Now, as far as the data for this week, a couple key things to note. You do have a lot of Fed speakers starting off tomorrow morning. You don't really have huge economic data anywhere. But you are going to get Fed Logan at 9 a.m., Fed Barr at 9:15, and Fed Jefferson at 1:30 p.m. And that's basically going to do it for tomorrow. Tuesday, you are going to have Fed Waller at 1:30 p.m., Fed Kashkari at 3 p.m., and Fed Daly at 6 p.m. So a couple Fed speakers here as well. Don't really have any economic data. On Wednesday, you're going to get PPI month over month. You're expecting PPI to come in at 0.3. Last month was 0.7. So you are expecting a decline there for your producer price index. That's basically producer price inflation if you want to dumb it down a little bit. You are going to get the FOMC minutes as well that comes out at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. FOMC minutes, that's basically a transcript of the last Fed meeting. It typically does give the markets a pretty big move initially, but it's backwards looking. So it's one of those situations where markets are like, hey, what's the Fed saying now? That's what the Fed said 2-3 weeks ago. What's the Fed saying now? So it usually doesn't give you that much of a follow-through effect, but it does tend to move the markets pretty big once that report does come out. Again, that's at 2 p.m. Now, on Thursday, you're going to get your CPI report. Core inflation month over month expected to come in at 0.3%. Last month was 0.3%. For June and July, you were at 0.2%. That is 2.4% annualized at 0.2%. 0.3 is 3.6% annualized. So 0.3%, a little bit too high. We want to see that come in at 0.2. That's great. If it comes in higher than 0.3, well, that's obviously going to be a big problem for our markets. Now, your core inflation rate year over year is expected to come in at 4.1%. Your last month's reading was 4.3%. So that's expecting to be pretty good as well. Your month over month is expecting to really fall from 0.6% to 0.3%. That would be quite the decline there. And your inflation rate year over year is expected to come in at 3.6%. Last month's reading was 3.7%. You're also going to get initial jobless claims as well coming out at 8:30 in the morning. So all in all, you're expecting pretty good inflation data. Risk is inflation comes in hotter than expectations, and that's not great. If it comes in lower than expectations, well, that could be really good for our markets as well. So Thursday is going to be a big day. And then Friday, you have more Fed speakers, as well as the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey that comes out at 10 o'clock in the morning. You're actually expecting this to come in at 67.4. Last month's reading was 68.1, so a little bit of a contraction here. You're also expecting your 5-year inflation expectation numbers to come down a little bit from 2.8% last month to 2.7%, and your 1-year inflation expectations are expected to fall as well from 3.2% to 3.1%. So expecting pretty good data this week. Again, risk is it comes in hotter than expectations, and that could obviously be a negative for our markets, and that would probably be a negative for AMC stock as well. There's always the chance that AMC inverses the markets, but that's obviously not a guarantee. That's not something you should bet on. Now, for AMC stock, I personally think this is the start of a big rally, so I do think AMC is going to break out above $9.50, break out above $10 per share, and make your way much higher. Now, once you break out above 10, then I think the gap fill level is right there at about $11.80. Call it about $12 per share. Even some would say about $10.76 per share. These are all important levels. If you break out above really 14, then you make a clear shot to about 20. Big gap to fill in this range. So for this week, I would say in between $12 and $15 per share is what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting a down week. Now, if the markets hate this Israel conflict and the data comes in bad, well, obviously you could fall. In the event you do fall, I believe you fall to about $8.50, maybe $8 per share if you have a really bad week, but I'm not expecting this huge crash event by any means. I think it's going to be a pretty bullish week for AMC stock, if I were to imagine. And you should also find some degree of support right at about $9 per share, considering you're at $9.33 per share. You want to see, even if we have a weak market, does AMC hold support at $9 per share? Or does it just flush through that level, no respect at all? That's going to tell you quite a bit about positioning and where the demand zones are for AMC stock. Now, if you look at the MACD has been trending upwards for quite a bit of time, so we'll see what happens there. That looks really, really good with some solid momentum. Look at these green candles here, these green lines on the histogram. It just looks very consistently green and bullish here. That's probably why the MACD just continuing to trend upwards in almost a straight diagonal line. And if you look at the RSI has recently come off of the extreme oversold levels that we were at for like 2 months, guys. You were oversold under 30 on the RSI for like 2 months. You're finally back in a normal range. I think this will send trading algorithms into a buying mode for AMC stock. And if you can continue to move higher, hopefully the options will continue to help us out. If we look at the option chain for this week, you got 5,000 at the 950 call, 5,000 at the $10 call. Let's see. That's it, really close to the money. 2,000 at the 1050. On the put side, it's actually not coming up. Oh yeah, it's just really small. There's basically no puts on this expiration to speak of, like literally at all. So I don't really think that is a huge negative factor that we're going to have to deal with all too much. If you look at the Stonko tracker data for this week, you got 27,000 calls currently in the money, 27,000 calls out the money, 2,572 puts in the money, and about 40,000 puts that are out of the money, guys. So gonna be an exciting week. Let me know what you think about all of this data down below in the comment section. Do you think this Israel conflict is going to be, have a big effect on the markets? Do you think it's not? What do you think for AMC? Do you think the rally continues, or do you think we fall back down to that $8 range? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.